Welcome everyone to the hobby desk. So, hobby tip number 3785 is rivets. So, rivets are great for adding to pipe work. So, a little plastic pipe as a demonstration. So, it looks a bit plain, a bit boring. Yes, we're going to paint it. We might stipple it and do some rusting effects, and that looks great. It still looks a little bit boring, so you can add some rivets to it. Or a bit of plastic card on your base, looks a bit plain, a little bit boring. Or if you're playing orcs and you like to customize your vehicles, rivets everywhere. Fantastic stuff. So rivets, a lot of people have cut beads in half before, maybe the top off pinheads, things like that. But the best thing I find personally are tiny little beads. So I think it was about £1 from eBay for 2,000 little beads. And I'm not going to cut them in half. So, you know, if I cut them in half, I'm going to be hoovering them up for years and I'm never going to find them. So a little pot like this, invaluable. So, it's the same principle with anything from check plate, plastic card, piping, pin drill. Tiny little pin drill, same diameter as these beads. So what you want to do is mark where you want your rivets. So I want to have a rivet on the side here, so I'm going to have it close-ish to the edge. Just a little bit of a mark, like so. If that's where I want it, I'm going to put the one on the other side, approximately the same place. I'm just going to drill a little hole, not all the way through, just enough that you can put a dab of super glue in and drop the bead in. So the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to cut them in half, they'll go flying. And the ball will sit nicely in there, not a problem. And you can always check, just open up one section, grab my tweezers, lose my pin drill. You can always check if it's deep enough by grabbing one ball, not a one ball, but one ball, dropping it in the hole. So a slight hole, as previously mentioned. Much shaking and ball dropping later. I've put a rivet in there. So if you don't know how deep you want to drill it, just try it at first. Yes, that looks pretty good. I do. So then you'll take the ball out, and then you'll put a little tiny drop of super glue, so regular old super glue, in the hole. Do the same process again, but this time around, once it's in the hole, it's in the hole. It's not going to run out or anything. So tiny little drop of super glue. Maybe wipe off the excess if you want to. You can always use your finger to pick it up if you want to, rather than using tweezers. I think tweezers was probably a bit cautious. Not saying it wasn't fiddly. Let's get closer to the camera and watch me drop it up close, right? So push that in there with a bit of glue, just like so. Obviously the deeper you push it in, or deeper the hole is, the more flush the rivet is. So it's simple as that. The only limitations are, how much do you shake? So as you can see, that looks fairly flush, just like so. And if you can imagine, another one on the top there, another one there, maybe one in between, which I'll do a second, and I'll show you what I mean. So, you can really weather and beaten up your pipe, and maybe dry brush the rivets to make them look a bit more obvious. Remember, there's always bigger beads out there, so you can always have a bigger rivet, or you can add more rivets. So what I've done is one there, there, there and there. North, south, east and west. And use a bit of rust maybe, so add it around the rivet and drag it down to make it look like a rusted watermark. Just draw people's attention to it a bit more, so it doesn't look like just a boring pipe. Or alternatively, if it is a copper-ish pipe, you can always add a bit of oxidization like this on it. But there you go, just adds a little bit of detail, and you can bring it up as much as you want by using some rusted water, maybe some brown water around it or something, just to bring it up. But it just makes the pipe look a bit more interesting than a plain, boring pipe. And like I said, you can add it to plastic card, on your orc vehicles, or your gantries and platforms, things like that. It's fantastic for terrain. So it saves you cutting those beads in half and watch them fly across the room. Just drill a small hole, drop the bead in there, or if you're like me, you shake a bit, you drop half the beads in a way. So what chance did I stand if I was trying to cut them in half? And like I said, you can use tweezers and you're less likely to throw them across the room. But there you go, just adds a little bit of detail. Fantastic rivets on industrial terrain. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please hit the like button and please subscribe.